Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram
Namaskrityam
Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jagamudiraya Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Sri Gurum Dinatarina Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatyadesh Tarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I'll mute everyone. So you just unmute yourself once. Okay, yes, Prabhuji. Please continue.
I guess I am beyond your mutability. I'm immutable. So I'm just sharing the screen now. Welcome everyone. Those of you who have been part of the Gurugram Sector 45 leadership team, lead preachers. Those of you who are part of the regular preaching programs that we started during the lockdown on my online group who are also here. And also those who are part of the Dashamula Tattva course group. I can see Dr. Preeti Sharma just joining. Welcome. So I think unless it's extremely difficult, please switch on your videos so that it's a little bit more respectful to Srimad Bhagavatam. Not to the speaker, but Srimad Bhagavatam. I will be sharing the screen. It will be a PowerPoint presentation. Some of you may have been exposed to this, but let it be a revision. This is a longish presentation, so I would prefer that you don't interrupt. Hold on to the questions. We will take up questions towards the end of the session. So it will be in English. Those of you who want to speak in Hindi, read from the book, Kabhi Kabhi, Swagat hai. You disabled participant screen sharing, Mr. Host. How to share the screen?
I'll make you co-host, Prabhuji.
No. There should be a provision for multiple participants to share. I don't need to be host.
Yes, Prabhuji. Anyways, for now, I have made you the host.
Yeah, there is a provision for multiple participants can share simultaneously.
Yes, I know. I'll fix that.
Okay. So the pattern will be that eventually I will be asking all of you to also make, over a week's time, prepare a presentation on a particular chapter and present it, and then I will add value gradually, not immediately, gradually. So we are introducing Srimad Bhagavatam. This chapter, the first chapter, is entitled Questions by the Sages. Very special thanks to my Shiksha Guru, Srila Purijan Prabhu, for his book Unveiling His Lotus Feet, and His Grace Gauranga Darshan Prabhu, the Secretary of the Bhagavad Gita Committee of ISKCON India, and also member of the SHASTRA Advisory Council, and also academic dean for the Bhaktivedanta Vidyapith, for his book Bhagavad Subodhini. Also, he's known as Bhanuswami Maharaj for translating Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's Sarartha Darshini. It's a commentary on the Srimad Bhagavatam. So we start with this, that what is the qualification to study Srimad Bhagavatam? Prabhupada mentions about this in the introduction as well. So the only qualification is to proceed gradually and step cautiously, not to jump. Like we pick up an ordinary book, we may sometimes skip a few pages. तो ये तो पता है, यहाँ पे पता है, ये तो ये लोग प्रकृति का यहाँ पे डिस्क्रिप्शन हो रहा है, या गाड़ी चल रही है, आगे जाते हैं. We'll skip a few pages. But we should not do so with Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam we should proceed step by step. Some people say Rasa Panchadhyaya, the 5 chapters pertaining to the Rasa Leela in the 10th canto. Many people jump straight to it without studying the first canto and so on and so forth. Similarly, portions in the Srimad Bhagavatam which may pertain to certain parts of the narration which may not really appeal to our sense. We should not skip any of those. We should simply read and study with great caution. Pandamoi savadhanamate. That doesn't apply to just the person Bhagavat, who is Guru. It also applies to the book Bhagavat. So proceed gradually. So Prabhupada says that in order to reach the very substance, one must proceed gradually by developing a knowledge of the categories. Substance means the sum and substance, the summum bonum, the essence, the everything. That is like the 10th canto and Lord Krishna's pastimes in general. One should reach there only by developing knowledge of the categories, which means the other incarnations, the expansions, the other associates of the Lord. All these we need to understand and go through to understand the Paribhasha Sutra of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Once you have that understanding, it will be easier to appreciate the substance, which is the 10th canto and beyond. So, Hare Krishna, Bhava, you can read this.
As well, according to the Gita, the Lord comes to save the devotees and destroy the demons. Bhagavad Gita 4.8. Just as he appears for these purposes as Matsya among the fish, as Vara among the animals, as Hamsa among the birds, as Swayam Bhagavatam Krishna among the humans, Swayam Bhagwan Krishna among the humans, and as Upendra among the Devatas.
Who is Upendra?
I don't know, Prabhuji.
It's Lord Vamana. He appeared as younger brother of Indra. So Upa Indra. But he's not
Okay.
really a demigod in that sense, but he appeared among them.
Okay. So the Lord has now appeared as the crown jewel of the scriptures, Srimad Bhagavatam, among the Vedas, for restoring dharma and delivering the devotees.
You see, it is in one sense the Granthavatara of Krishna. So we'll discuss later when how Puranarka Adhunodita, the son of Srimad Bhagavatam, the Purana son has risen. Now that Krishna has departed for his abode to restore dharma, dharma samstapana, artham. So that's the role of Srimad Bhagavatam. And Paritrana Sadhana, Vinasyacha Dushkritam is mentioned. But the Srimad Bhagavatam, what does it do? It protects the saints, the divine, the devotees. It protects their consciousness and destroys the demoniac nature among the atheists. So it also performed the same role in that sense. So now it has appeared as the crown jewel, Shiromani of the scriptures. Kamal Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Read the screen.
Yes. It has 12 forms, volumes, just as the sun has 12 forms for each of the months of the year, with 18,000 verses. Like it lives, it has appeared like a desert tree to fulfill the goals of the great devotees.
Nigama Kalpataro. Right? So this is what Vishnu Chakradharan mentions in his commentary. Just like the sun has 12 forms for each month of the year, Bhagavatam has 12 volumes which each represent a certain form. 18,000 verses are the leaves, and it appears like the desire tree to fulfill the goals of the great devotees. Shailavasni Matu.
Bhagavatam is another form of Krishna, similar to the oneness of and mind.
I
Krishna
and mine. I and mine.
mind. Krishna and the book about Krishna. Thus, it bears no comparison with other works. Krishna has appeared as Bhagavatam to Sukadeva and Parikshit, and like the sun among the planets, it shines among the Puranas.
So just like that, like I said, Purana Arka. Arka means sun. So just like Bhagavatam is similar to Krishna, just like Krishna and the book about Krishna, I and mine. Krishna is the I and mine. Is the book about him. So therefore, is incomparable. And just like the sun among the planets, it shines among the Puranas. And Krishna has appeared through Shukdev Goswami and Parishit Maharaj as the Srimad Bhagavatam. Sudama Vipra Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Please read.
Sure. In the Padma Puran, also there is a reference to the Bhagavatam in a conversation between Gautam and Maharaj Ambrish. The king was advised therein to read regularly Srimad Bhagavatam if he desired liberation from material bondage.
So this is like the history of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's not like it is something that has been cooked up. There is reference to it even in other Puranas. It's mentioned in Padma Purana that Ambarish Maharaj was asked to read it regularly by Gautam Rishi. And Srila Sridhar Swami therefore points it out that even in old Puranas like the Matsya Purana, one of the oldest, there is reference to Srimad Bhagavatam. And Bhadra Purnima is coming up now. It's clearly mentioned that anyone who makes a gift of this great work on a full moon day attains to the highest perfection of life by returning to Godhead. So I want to encourage all of you to buy the Bhagavatam if you don't have on Bhadra Purnima, or gift it to somebody, get it sponsored, or sponsor it for us and we'll get it distributed on your behalf somewhere, whichever way. So, Hare Krishna Prabhu, in this, in our Gurugram group, please post Bhadra Purnima details. I'll share it with you. And whoever wants to sponsor can sponsor it. They can coordinate with Tarun Krishna Prabhu and ensure that Sector 45 also opens its account for Bhagavatam distribution. And those of you who are otherwise connected to ISKCON Delhi or through other yatras or to my online group, please try and contribute in whichever way possible for this Bhadra Purnima. This is a service to Bhagavatam and it will help us understand Bhagavatam better. We give gift Bhagavatam to others. Give Bhagavatam, get Bhagavatam. Like that.
Sure.
Okay.
Prabhuji. Okay.
Achyuta Chandra Prabhu. Are you there, Achyuta Chandra Prabhu? Okay, Amit Gupta, who still hasn't changed the name, please read.
Yeah, Prabhuji, I'll change the name after the class, please.
Okay. Jungle mein more na
If
kiske lage kya?
if you click the three dots, Prabhu, you on your right side of your name, you'll have the option of renaming yourself immediately.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. I'll do that.
Read
I'm
it now.
actually not logged in. I've just joined through the link, so I'll log into Zoom and then I'll be able to change the name.
Yeah, now you can read
Okay.
now. And then you can go.
Sure, Prabhuji. The cloud of Sri Chaitanya has rained a sweet shower of mercy, producing a river of devotion to himself, where the jivas play like elephants in the Ganga. May the dark cloud of Lord Krishna Chaitanya, made golden with a flash of lightning, illuminated sky of my mind.
The sky, there's a gap which is missing. So I think you expressed interest to join the Bhagavatam class long back, I remember, in our Madhurya Academy classes. Now hopefully will be regular, Amit Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So because we have to have the Gaudiya understanding of everything when we're studying Bhagavatam also. So therefore, when we study Krishna Chakravarti Thakur's commentary, Sarata Darshini, we understand how he begins the commentary by glorifying Sri Krishna Chaitanya. And it is only he who can illuminate our mind. Such a beautiful simile that is given, that like we just studied in Madhurya Kadambani, similarly, a sweet shower of mercy produces a river of devotion where the jivas play like elephants in the Ganga. So that cloud, dark cloud of Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne, he is made golden with a flash of lightning by Srimati Radharani's bhava. So may he illuminate my mind. Anuradha Mataji?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hello.
The conception of God and the conception of the absolute truth are not on the same level. The Srimad Bhagavatam hits on the target of the absolute truth. The conception of God indicates the controller, whereas the conception of the absolute truth indicates the summum bonum, or the ultimate source of all energies.
This comes from the Bhaktivedanta and the purports of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. So basically, Ishvara is a controller, God, Ishvara. There could be many levels of controllers. But when you say Satyam Param Dhimahi or Om Namo Bhagavate, it indicates the absolute truth, which means is the source of everything. Yathova imani bhutani jayante yana jatani jivanti yat prayanti abhisamvishanti, that from which everything emanates, that from which everything is sustained, and that into which everything merges or gets invested into. So that is the supreme absolute truth. God in general means just the controller. So absolute truth is an all-encompassing terminology, way beyond just Ishvara. So the supreme absolute truth is what Srimad Bhagavatam focuses on. Bharati Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji.
How's your health now?
Better, Prabhuji.
Hope to see you soon. Go ahead.
Should I? Okay. The first canto and the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam represent Krishna's lotus feet. The first canto introduces to us its key characters, namely Parikshit, Shukdev Goswami, Vyasadeva, Narad Muni, Vidura, Pandavas, and Lord Krishna, along with their interesting backstories.
It's like the history is being provided, a backdrop is given. So these are the various characters that the first canto and the second canto talk. Primarily, the first canto talks about it. As is mentioned here, the first canto and the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, they represent Krishna's lotus feet. This will be described in detail in the second canto. How each of the cantos represents a certain limb of the Supreme Lord's body or a part of the Supreme Lord's body. So this is about the first canto, lotus feet. So that is why Srila Bhurijan Prabhu wrote his commentary unveiling his lotus feet. It's about the first 4 cantos, starting with these 2. Sheena Mataji?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. It
Emphatically.
emphatically, categorically, and categorically and conclusively affirms Lord Krishna as the Supreme Lord, Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam, and Krishna Bhakti as the topmost path for the highest spiritual perfection.
So this is a brief understanding the Bhagavad Pravaha of Gauranga Darshan Prabhu. Very nicely he introduces it, saying that how the Bhagavatam emphatically, categorically and conclusively affirms that Krishna is the Supreme Person and Krishna Bhakti is the topmost path Save Pumsam Paro Dharma Yito Bhaktiradokshade. So this is the topmost path, Paro Dharma. And Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Romil Maturi.
Hare
Prabhuji,
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
The first verse then is Srila Vyasadeva definition and description of the absolute truth, that substance from which nothing is different. That absolute truth is the person, the divine son of Vasudeva and Devi, known as Krishna, the supreme personality of Godhead. Everything else, including the Brahma Jyoti, emanates from him.
God's oneness aspect. Ekatvam. So the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is Vyasadeva's definition and description of the absolute truth, which is nothing is different from that substance, meaning everything is included in that substance. But that absolute truth is a person. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vasudeva means the divine son of Vasudeva and Devaki, known as Krishna, the supreme personality of Godhead. And the Brahma Jyoti is also emanating from him. Nijeshu Tejaha. Somebody called for me. Who was it? Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, I was at Prabhuji. Earlier I wasn't able to unmute it myself.
Okay.
Now I can.
Oh, okay. So you can read now, Chudashanapur.
Thank you, Prabhuji. The original fact is in the absolute truth, and thus the absolute truth cannot be impersonal. It is not possible to be impersonal and contain pure sex life. Consequently, the impersonalist philosopher have given indirect impetus to the amiable mundane sex life, abominable mundane sex life, because they have overstressed the impersonality of the ultimate truth.
So what it means is that if the absolute truth is impersonal, how can an impersonal entity contain sex life? But in the spiritual world, there is Adi Rasa. Prabhupada talks about that in the first canto, commentary on Bhaktivedanta purport on this. Adi Rasa, so origin, everything comes from him. So pure sex life emanates from the Supreme Person. What we see in the material world is a perverted reflection of the pure sex life. So if you understand that the Supreme Absolute Truth is impersonal, if that is your wrong understanding, it is an incorrect understanding. If you understand that the Supreme Truth is impersonal, that means you would assume that it is not possible for the Supreme Absolute Truth to have sex life. And because he is the Supreme Pure, Pavitram, therefore this sex life that is associated with him is also Pavitram. But because you are saying that the Supreme Absolute Truth is impersonal, you're ruling out any possibility of pure sex life. Consequently, what happens? The only sex life that we are used to is what is present in the material world, which is a perverted form, which is Dharma Viruddha Bhuteshu, not Dharma Aviruddha. So therefore, overstressing on the impersonality of the Absolute Truth has led to a direct impetus to the abominable mundane sex life. Modern media is focusing so much on sex in a perverted form. Everything from debentures and investment options to cement, cars, shaving creams, talcum powders has to be sold based on sex. So this is the result of overstressing on the impersonality of the Absolute Truth, ruling out any possibility for him to have pure sex life, meaning he cannot have, we cannot. So the first text is unlimited meaning. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur spoke on it in Dhaka, now in Bangladesh, then in east of India, or Purba Bengal, Purba Bangla. So how do you pronounce that, Achyut Chandra Prabhu? Purba Bangla.
Purva Bangla.
So for about 3 months, every day, he spoke on this topic. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur. Okay. You don't have to repeat after me. Just mute yourself and repeat in case you want to. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Janmadhyasya yaton vayaditarataschatte svabhijnasvara. Or there are many meters. Janmadhyasya yaton vayaditarataschatte svabhijnasvara. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adikavaye Mukhyanti Yat Surayah Tejo Vari Mridam Yatha Vinimayo Yatra Trisargom Risha Dhamna Svena Sada Nirasta Kuhatam Satyam Param Dhimahi. So it should be Hridaya, which is mentioned as Haida. So what is the definition of the absolute truth? This talks about Krishna. This is the Sambandha. This shloka indicates the Sambandha Tattva, the relationship with the Supreme Lord. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janmadhyasya Yato. So, Radhanaka Mataji, you can read.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I read this definition of absolute truth. Krishna Sambandha.
Yeah.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Janmadhya Asya Yato. Premavala Val. Cause of.
You thought it was Sanskrit, huh? You thought it was Sanskrit.
Yes, I did. Primeval cause of all causes, destruction of the manifested universes of creation, maintenance, and Anvayad
Itaratas Charteshva Abhijnaha.
Charteshva Abhijnaha. Directly and indirectly conscious of all the manifestations, Swarat, fully independent.
So this is the quality or the qualification of the absolute truth. The primeval cause, Sarvakarana Karanam, of Srishti, Sthiti, Pralaya, everything. And directly and indirectly conscious of all the manifestations. How is that? The manifestations with themselves are conscious, and he in himself is also conscious of each of the living entities as the Paramatma. And Swarat means he's supremely independent, fully independent. Nobody else can claim to be independent. Rati Manjari Prematu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Pranam. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye, first imparted heart to the heart of
Brahma. I think something
first
is
imparted to the internal heart of Brahma, the Vedic knowledge unto the Muyanti Yat Surya. Even great sages and demigods are placed into illusion. Tejo Vari Mridam Yatha. One is bewildered by the illusory representations of water seen in fire or land seen on water.
As one is bewildered. So, Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye. So, it is the Supreme Absolute Truth himself who first imparted into the heart of Brahma the Vedic knowledge. Hridaya Adi Kavaye. And Mukhyanti Yat Suryaha, even the great sages and demigods, they are put in illusion. How is the illusion? It is described. Tejo Vari Mridam Yatha. Just like there are illusory representations of water seen in fire. When you carefully observe fire with its flames, you can see elements of water in it. And similarly, land seen on water. When you are you are going for a long time in the sea, you will develop some kind of illusion that you can see an island. It's like an ocean. Oasis, what they call an oasis in the desert, or even in an island oasis in the ocean. These are illusory representations. Dr. Preeti?
Prabhuji, again it's in Sanskrit. I can't read.
I'll read the Sanskrit, you can read the English. So, Vinimayo yatra trisargo amrisha.
Only because of him do the material universes temporary manifested by reactions of the three modes. Three modes appear factual.
So actually, the material universes are manifested by the reactions of the three modes of
Dharma
Sattvam, Rajas, Tama, iti guna, Prakriti, Sambhava. All the material universes are caused by the manifestation. The cause to manifest by the interaction of the three modes, and by the Supreme Lord, his influence, these universes, they appear factual. They are temporary and factual. Dhamna svena sada nirasta kohakam. Read.
eternally existent in the transcendental abode, which is forever free from illusion.
Satyam param dhimahi. That's that you can read.
Satyam Param. Meditate on that absolute truth.
I meditate on that absolute.
I meditate on that absolute truth.
So, he is eternally existent in his transcendental abode, which is free from this illusion. Dhamna svena sada nirasta kohaka. It negates the existence of this illusion. The transcendental abode is beyond this kind of illusion. And that absolute truth, Satyam Param, supreme absolute truth, Dhimahi, I meditate. So, Vyasadeva introduces a Gayatri mantra right at the beginning. Now, let us study another angle to this shloka. This shloka is very important. So, we'll spend more time on this shloka first before getting the rest of the chapter later, in later sessions. So, Srila Jiva Goswami in his Krishna Sandarbha, Anucheda 82, says that Janma Dyasya, meaning the Supreme Lord, who remains eternally in his three abodes. What are the three abodes? Mathura, Dwaraka, and Gokula. After taking his birth, when he took birth, Anvayat, meaning he is Nanda's son. And because of his connection with Nanda, family relationship, what did he do? Itarata, he went somewhere else. Where? To Nanda's home. Because of his filial relationship with Nanda. He is actually Nanda's son. Eternally, it is mentioned that Krishna is not just Devaki Nandan Krishna or Vasudeva. He is also Nandanandan, Yashodanandan Krishna, who appeared along with Yogamaya, but who merged into Devaki Nandan Krishna when he was brought into Gokula by Vasudeva. That's what Acharyas say. So he went from Mathura to Gokula. So this is Jiva Goswami's Vaishnava interpretation of this shloka. Devotional interpretation. Let's see what Sarata Darshini says. Says. So I worship the Supreme Absolute Krishna, who is eternal bliss and supreme consciousness, which is Nityananda Advaita Chaitanya. And is personified as the eternal Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a complete form of Brahma Sutra or Vedanta Sutra. This is the Brahma Bhashyam Brahma Sutranam. It is the commentary on the Brahma Sutra, Vedanta Sutra. So that is called embellished form, which means ornamented form. And where does he stay? He stays in it, along with his eternal bhakti unto him and his own bhaktas. Where does he stay? In his eternal spiritual abode. Dhamna Svena. This is another Vaishnava interpretation of this truth. Now, you can read Dharak Dwarka Vishnu.
The first proposition holds that Lord Shri Krishna is the primeval Lord. And if any transcendental nomenclature is to be understood as belonging to the absolute personality of Godhead, it must be the name indicated by the word Krishna, which means all attractive.
So, Karshati iti Krishna. Krishna means all attractive. So Krishna is the primeval Lord. That is why it is said, "Oh no, Bhagavate." And which means anything should be used to describe the Supreme Lord, it must be the word Krishna, because it means all attractive. Because everything emanates from him, stays in him, and is annihilated in him. Is a summum bonum. And the best word to describe that is Krishna, Prabhupada says. Radharani Mataji?
Hare Krishna. Itarataha to another place, that is the home of Nanda Maharaj. Cha artheshe abhijanaha, knowing his purpose, he knows he was being carried to Braja to deceive Kamsa and to perform pastimes with his intimate devotees in Braja. Bharat, the one who shines within his own, the Brajvasis, the residents of Gokula.
I'm just trying to recollect which is this Radharani Mataji. Could you just reveal yourself?
Can you see me now?
One second. Oh, okay. I can only think of your Rashi.
Okay.
Yeah. Itarataha, went to another place. Artheshu, it's mentioned as Artheshu. It should be Artheshu Abhij. Cha Artheshu Abhijnaha. He knows why he's being carried to Braja. It's a little bacha, but you cannot say he doesn't know. He knows why he's being carried to Braja. Why? He has to deceive Kamsa, kill him, perform pastimes with his intimate devotees, with his sakas, gopis, etc. And he is also called Swarat. Swarat means he is a transcendental autocrat, according to Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He is the all-controlling personality. How? He shines on his own. Swarat. So, who are his own? Along with his own. Who are his own? His own are the Vrajavasis. So, iti drik swalila bhirananda kunde swagoshan nimajjantamakya bayanta. Quite similar to that. It is swalila. Is immersing the residents of Gokula, the Vrajavasis, into the nectarian pastimes of his. So that is Swara. Now, these are all for your deeper understanding. When you explain to the general public, please don't try to go beyond Bhaktivedanta purpose. Because all of your initiated devotees, 16 rounders, and somewhat taking up lead preaching roles, I wanted to know a little bit more in detail. Okay. Who's left? Yaduvar Balaram Prabhu? Oh, Yaduvar Prabhu? Yaduvar Balaram Prabhu,
Hare Krishna.
Whenever you can
Hare
unmute,
Krishna.
yeah.
In this sloka, the particular words abhija and swarat are significant. These two words distinguish the Supreme Lord from all the other living entities. No other living entity is either abhija or swarat. That is, no one is either fully cognizant or fully independent.
So Abhijna is fully cognizant and Swarat is fully independent. A very interesting thought introduced by some acharyas is that Krishna knows everything. He is Abhijna. But he doesn't understand how Radharani relishes his love, the joy she develops, the bliss she has in associating with him. He doesn't know that. How is that possible if he is Abhijna? That is because he is Swarat. It is his sweet will. He chooses not to know. Therefore, he takes our mode and appears as Sri Krishna Chaitanya. This is our body understanding. So, the other point to understand is Abhijna and Swarat are the distinguishing characteristics of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Jiva can be anything, qualitatively similar to Krishna, but he is not fully cognizant, nor is he fully independent. Achyuta Chandra Prabhu.
Should I read it?
Yeah.
Even Madhav
Mayavadi.
in Mayavadi, sorry. Even Mayavadi in personalists who flattered themselves that they can become one with the Lord are neither Abhigyan or Swarat. Such impersonalists undergo several austerities to acquire knowledge to become one with the Lord. But ultimately, they became dependent on some rich disciple who supplies them with money to build monasteries and temples.
So they may think that they are Abhijna and Swarat. They may want to become one with the Supreme Lord. But even the Mayavadi in person is there neither Abhijna nor Swarat. So they undergo severe austerities. Like they even take sannyas and they call Narayana. Dandagrahana matreda naro Narayano bhavet. So they perform all kind of austerities. For what? To become one with the Lord ultimately. But then what happens? They become dependent on some rich disciple. They give them the money to build a matha. They become mathadish. The slang in English for dog is mutt. So these people, they just become dogs of their donors. M-U-T-T, mutt, means dog in slang English. So these Mayavadis, they become like mathadish. They build their temples dependent on some rich disciple. So, and they go ahead and build hospitals and schools. So that is not what is expected of a transcendentalist. So the modern atheists are also like this. They flout the authority of the Lord. And they may try to flout the laws of nature, but nature's laws are very strong. They are there to penalize him. You see, so many natural catastrophes being formed. So now we propose you'll have to hold till I complete, because we may have a lot of things to cover. So hold the question. So Srila Jiva Goswami says that, therefore, Krishna, who took birth in Mathura in a prison house, wished to go and live with the devotees in Gokula and inspired his father to take him to that place. So let us meditate on him. Param Dhimahi. This is a Vaishnava understanding. So he further says that he expanded Tene Brahma, his glory. Brahma is his own glory. So it contains a certain rasa, that is Satchidananda. And by his own desire and mere determination, Hridaya, what happened? Lord Brahma became bewildered. Mukhyanti means also becoming helpless because of an overwhelming outpouring of prema. And what for Yat Suryaha? Because he wanted to enjoy the pastimes of the Vrajavasis, with the Vrajavasis. Because of this, Muhyanti Yat Suryaha, he expanded himself into innumerable cows and cowherd boys. These bewildered great personalities, Mukhyanti Yat Suryaha, including Brahma himself. Even Lord Baladeva, who is his first expansion, was bewildered for 1 year. He thought that it was actually the cows and the cowherd boys that he was used to. So this is his glory. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye. He expanded through his glory by his own desire and determination and bewildered everyone, including Baladeva and Brahma. So this is what Jiva Goswami says. And further he says Tejo varim radam yatha vinimayo yatra trisargo mrisha. So trisargo means what? Vrindavan, Mathura, Dwaraka. These are the three abodes. Sarga means that which is created. Amrisha means that which is not false but real. These three dhams of Mrisha is false, Amrisha is not false. So these three abodes of Krishna are absolutely real. And everything is transformed. His whole Tejo, it is his effulgence which transfers into water, earth, etc. And it is within whom all the abodes also exist. He is also called Nivasa Sharanam Suhrit, Krishna says. He is Jagan Nivasa. Everything resides in him. The worlds reside in him. All the three worlds. What are the three worlds mentioned here? Vrindavan, Mathura and Dwaraka. They are all transcendental. They manifest in Krishna. Therefore, they are real. So, because he created Leelas in these three places, Vrindavan, Mathura and Dwaraka. So, these pastimes, these Leelas, because of these Leelas, everything changed. The moon lost its effulgence. Yamuna's water became solidified and the rocks melted. So that is the illusion that happens also. Inherent nature of things itself changed by Krishna performing his pastimes. Dhamna svena sada nirasta kohakam. But everything about Krishna's dham, that is free from maya, free from illusion. Nirasta kohakam, which abnegates, it annihilates, nihilates all that is illusion. So Satyam, Param Satyam, Govinda is called Satya. Dhimahi means I meditate. I meditate on Govinda, the Supreme Absolute Truth, whose all the places of pastimes are free from illusion and whose performance of pastimes change the very nature of things, like the Yamuna becoming solid and so on and so forth. And by whose effulgence everything transformed, like I mentioned. And the three modes, the three abodes of Krishna, they all manifest in him and they are most real. And by his own glory, he expanded himself by his own determination. The cowherd boys and calves, he's bewildered everyone, including Brahma and Baladeva himself. And his original form is Sachidananda. Let us meditate on him who chose to go to Gokula after taking birth and so inspired his father to do so. This is the explanation of the first shloka by Jiva Goswami. So, the definition of Dhimahi is part of Gayatri Mantra generally. Dhi is all these things: religious thought, meditation, devotion, prayer, understanding, intelligence, wisdom, science, knowledge, art, mind, disposition, intention, design, all these things is Dhi. And Mahi, extremely great. Mahan, everything it comes from there. Exceedingly great. So therefore, Vyasadeva gives the reader a chance to gradually develop spiritual realization. It should be spiritual realization again. Before releasing the essence of the pastimes of the Lord, the summum bonum. So he starts with the Gayatri mantra, Dhimahi, to gradually purify himself by chanting this mantra, so that the Leelas eventually manifest into the consciousness of the reader. Radharani Mataji?
All the places
Hare
of Krishna's.
Who's reading?
Prabhuji, did you call me, Ms. Radharani? Or
I
somebody
said
else?
Radha Anuga, your follower.
Okay, thank you.
Radha Anuga Mataji?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
All the places of Krishna's
Oh, by
pastimes.
the way, she's your god sister, huh? Radharani Matadi.
Okay.
Radharani Matadi is your senior god sister, Radharani Matadi. She is a Brahmin initiate and good cook for Krishna and a great artist also.
Okay, Prabhuji. Hope I get someday I get a chance to meet her.
Someday I hope she makes a nice prasadam for all of us. Go ahead.
All the places of Krishna's pastimes are free from Maya, illusion, because illusion cannot approach these holy abodes or dhamas. I therefore meditate on the Supreme Lord Krishna. I therefore meditate on him, Lord Sri Krishna, who is eternally existent in the transcendental abode, which is forever free from the illusory representations of the material world. I meditate on him, or he is the absolute truth.
Yeah, he's the supreme absolute truth. So everything, every abode of Krishna is completely free from all kinds of illusion. So I meditate on these abodes, I meditate on the Supreme Lord who resides in these abodes, which is free from all the illusory representations of the material world. Tatat bhasete suryo na shashanko na pavata. Yad gatvana nivartante tad dhama paramamama. So that place doesn't require illumination by electricity, by sun or the moon. So because this material world is essentially full of darkness, therefore we need these kind of light. Krishna's dhamas are eternally illuminated by himself, and therefore they are real, and I meditate on that absolute truth. Param is the topmost. Satyam means that Supreme Lord who exists in all time and space. Anything that doesn't exist somewhere is not Satyam because it's not real. But he's Satyam because he exists in all time and place, always, everywhere, omnipresent, and I don't know what is for across time. Somebody, you can check it out, Dwarkadish. Omniscient means all knowing, omnipresent means all present, omnipotent means all powerful. What is there for eternal? Eternal, what is the word for eternal? Omni what? I can't find the term. Omnichronal or something. Just check. Dhimahi means let us worship or meditate on. So please don't get confused by so many of these interpretations. They are all meant to make us understand and come closer to the understanding that Krishna is the supreme person, everything comes from him, and everything that is not connected with him is illusion, and illusions arise essentially because of his own influence itself, by his own energy. Ratimanjari Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Only the Mahatmas can understand that the Supreme Lord is the primeval cause of all creations. He is Parama or ultimate truth because all other truths are relative to him. He is omniscient. For him, there is no illusion.
Yeah, he's omniscient. He's omniscient. He's Sarvajna, Abhijna, knows everything. There's no illusion for him. He knows everything. But yasmin sajnate, yasmin vichate, etad vichatam bhavati. One who knows the Supreme Lord knows everything. He doesn't need to know anything. So that is why they are Mahatmas. Mahatmanam sumam partha devim prakriti mashrita. They are situated in the internal potency of the Lord. Therefore, they are in the shelter of the material potency and the spiritual potency. So for them, there is no illusion. Mudhoyam na abhichanati. The fools are covered by illusion. But Naham Prakasha Sarvasya. But not the Mahatmas. They are situated in the Yoga Maya, but they can understand, they alone can understand the Supreme Lord as the primeval cause of all creations. Because Bhaktyamam Abhijanati, Krishna himself confirms. So it is only the Bhaktas who can know Krishna to the deep. And everything else is relative to him. They are relative truths. And he is beyond illusion. As a Prabhupada wrote this book, Beyond Illusion and Doubt. Study that book and become devotional, and then we will also be beyond the illusion of God. Athato Brahma Jijnasa, the first Vedanta Sutra. It is indicated by Janmadhyasya, since meditation alone is the result of inquiry. Because you meditated on the Lord. Brahma was meditating. Where did I come from? How did I come from? Who created me? He was going up and down the stem of the lotus on which he emanated, the 14 planetary systems. And then the voice was heard in his heart, Tapa, Tapa, Tapa. So the very first words were, perform austerity and meditate. So in that sense, meditation alone is a result of inquiry. Once we inquire about the Supreme Lord, then we will eventually meditate on Him, try to know Him better.
The Lord's supreme power is indicated in this verse with Janmadhasyata, Vedanta Sutra 1.1.2. Let us meditate on the Supreme Lord, from whom yatah arises creation, maintenance and destruction. Janmadi of the universe, asya. Should they meditate on time which causes all this?
Kindly hold for a moment. I will take this call. Anvaya means entrance into, and Itarata means division. One Anvaya is inclusion, Anvayat Itaratas, inclusion, and Itarata is division. So the Lord causes and destroys everything because everything enters into the Lord. And universes enter into the Lord. Yastyai Ganishwasita Kala Mathavalambya Jivanti Loma Vilaja Jagadandanatha. Vishnur Mahan Saiha Yasya Kala Vishesha Govinda Madhipurusham Tamam. As Mahavishnu breathes, breathes out, innumerable universes emanate, and as he breathes in, they enter back into him. So that's what's called issuing forth from him and enter back into him in creation. Itarata meaning then Visarga, which is the Trisarga. This is the Visarga, which is secondary creation. And the Lord is the basis, Adhishtatra Karan, the very basis. Then there's Upadan Karan, secondary cause. It is of the whole universe. Just like water is the base of the earth, fire is the basis of water. This is how creation starts from various elements. So quite similarly, everything is based upon the Lord. Param Dhama is that. So he is the Lord from whom creation, maintenance, destruction, everything happens. Everything is included in Anvaya. And everything in the secondary creation is outside him. Everything is outside, but based on him. So that way everything is related to him. Whether it is inside him or outside him. They're all based on him. So the manifested cosmic nature is created at a certain period by the will of the Lord, maintained for some time, and then annihilated by his will. So therefore, the supreme will is behind all cosmic activities, not some big bang. Like tomorrow in Noida, I am told that near Delhi, in Delhi NCR, They're going to blow up some twin towers, two huge buildings. We have to see whether after blowing up these buildings, any new buildings will immediately manifest. If it's by the Big Bang, then everything came up. So anything that is created in the material world is the interaction of the two energies, material and spiritual. And Krishna being Shaktiman, all the Shakti comes from him. Parasya Shaktir Vivideva Shruyate. Like we are studying in Dashamula Tattva, some of you may be remembering that Sarva Shaktim, everything comes from him. He is the source of all energies. Amnaya Praha Hariha Paramam Sarva Shaktim Rasabdim. Everything comes forth from him. And Anvayad Itarata means he is a creator, maintainer, and destroyer. He is non-different from the universe. Yomam Pashyati Sarvatra Sarvam Ma Mai Pashyati. Tasyaham na pranashyami sajame na pranashyati. Everything, you have to see everything in Krishna and see Krishna in everything. So the universe is Idam me Vishwam Bhagavan Ivetaraha. Iva Itaraha. This is a Vedic mantra. The world is non-different from the Supreme Lord. Or like the sons of Kubera pray after they're delivered by Lord Damodara. Drishyam Shiras Tavanivasa Jagat Praname. Our head bows to this world which is non-different from you. Which means Krishna is present as super soul everywhere and in everyone in this world. So Drishti Satam Darshanestu Bhavattanunam, your body. These devotees who are your body. Because every body is Krishna's body. That's what we have to understand. But this universe is different from his Swarupa. Yet it is non-different from his Maya Shakti. So that is the understanding of Achintya Veda Veda. Krishna is not the universe, but Krishna's energy manifests as the universe. And at an absolute level, he is not different from his energy. So in that sense, Krishna is the universe. But yet they are different. This is Achintya Veda Veda. So this we already discussed. So Krishna inspired his secondary creator Brahma. So he could do creation. That means the supreme intelligence behind all creations is Krishna, the absolute Godhead. Prakriti is not the independent cause. Maya Adhyakshena Prakriti. The Supreme Lord is conscious of everyone. He causes the universe by his independence, his Swarat, his Abhijna, his cognizant, all cognizant. Prakriti is Jada. She is unconscious. So she is not the cause. The conscious Lord is the cause. He knows everything directly and indirectly. He's all cognizant. He knows all the details and is fully independent. Therefore, Krishna is also called Asamaurdva. Asamaurdva means nobody is equal or greater than him. Asama, not equal. Urdva, not greater. Asamaurdva. Urdva is higher or great. Asamaurdva means is nobody is equal to or greater than the Supreme Lord. So the living beings are parts and parcels of the Lord. This Tasam Brahma Mahadyoni Raham Bija Pradapita. He provides the seeds and material nature is impregnated. So then his creative energies, Parasya Shakti, Vivideva Shruyate, are set forth. So many wonderful creations happen. The Big Bang cannot completely account for varieties in creation. But when you look at the varieties of energies coming forth from the Lord, it's natural to understand that there are so many creations possible. So Krishna is like the gold mine, and all the creations, all the objects of creation, all the different forms or living entities, they are all objects made from the gold, like gold rings, necklaces, etc. Krishna is the gold mine, and everything else is objects from the gold. So scripture doesn't talk about Prakriti as the material cause independently. Supremely conscious Supreme Lord, he is the cause of the universe by his independence, not his independence. So the verse says that Krishna is Abhijna. He knows everything related to creation, destruction, etc. Artheshu, that which is artha, all the real objects. So this also illustrates Ikshader Nishabdam, the Vedanta Sutra statement, that although the Lord is described in the scriptures, it is not like the Lord cannot be described by words. So this is another way to crack people who say that if God is spiritual, how can you describe him by words? By your material description. Because he's Ikshatir Nashabdam. He's not beyond the description of word because he's described in the scriptures. So we can produce small satellites which can remain. Why can't there be greater brains which can produce greater things which are of greater quality, have greater life? But atheists who are stubborn will not agree. Mudoyam na abhijanati. So, unless only thoroughly accomplished in the transcendent knowledge of the Lord, one is sure to misunderstand Krishna's leelas of the Rasa Leela and his dances with the gopis. So there is nothing in the world that you see around us which is real. But it appears as reality because there is a reality in the spiritual world. And in the spiritual world, the Supreme Lord exists. Therefore, by his influence, whatever appears in the material world seems to exist. And it is the interaction of the two energies of the Lord, which is material and spiritual. They come from the Supreme Absolute Truth, which is Sri Krishna. And that is the truth from which everything emanates, everything is sustained, and everything is annihilated. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sudama Vipra had a question.
Prabhuji, I'd like to go back to that slide which speaks of sex actually. I had a question based on that. So if you could please, take me back to that slide, would be easy for me to understand and ask you a question.
Hello.
Yeah, the original fact is in the absolute truth, and thus the absolute truth cannot be impersonal. It is not possible to be impersonal and contain pure sex life. What does this mean?
I thought I explained it already. Adi Rasa is pure sex life, which is not at the mundane platform, it's at the spiritual platform, meant purely for the pleasure of Krishna. And in Bhajaniya Parama Purusha Sukhamatra Sasukatam, we gain pleasure by providing pleasure to the Supreme Lord. But this doesn't mean in a mundane, perverted way the sex life that we practice in the material world. When you say that God is not a person, it means he cannot have a sex life. If God is a person and he is the source of everything, that means sex life can also emanate from him. He is a person, he has pure sex life, Adi Rasa. So in the material world, when it comes down to this level, you say God is not a person. So God is impersonal, which means there is no such thing as pure sex life. So the only thing that is there is this sex life, which we practice. And this gets overstressed because God is not a person. Because you're not a person, there cannot be any pure sex life. Therefore, we are the only persons, and we are persons because of our understanding of being overcome by Maya. We stress on the mundane sex life. We overdo it. We try to repress it in an unregulated manner or overindulge in it in an unregulated manner. Both cause too much impetus to mundane sex life. Why? Because they think Supreme Absolute Truth is not a person. Supreme Absolute Truth is not a person. that he cannot have pure sex life. So the only sex life possible is impure sex life, which is dharma viruddha.
No, now this is understandable since the God is personal. Since the God is a person, so obviously pure sex life emanates from him.
Because he's pure. Because
Correct.
he's pure,
Correct.
everything emanates
But
from
then
him.
having said
Sex life
that,
is also pure. Yeah.
correct. So
Go.
then having said that, we are also spiritual beings,
Yeah.
right? An expansion of the Lord, or in that, or having said that, parts and parcels of the Lord.
Yeah.
Right. So then in that case, the spiritual life being practiced by humans, is that not on the spiritual platform, if at all done in conjunction to the Vedic scriptures?
What is the spiritual life?
Or for that matter, is it recommended? No, but sexual life.
Yeah, that's what you got the word wrong. I was wondering. Yeah. Yeah. So basically,
Yeah.
Krishna,
So sexual life.
I mentioned
My only
this also.
point is,
I understood your point. I mentioned it already that Krishna says in the Gita, Dharma aviruddha bhuteshu kamo asmi. I myself am sex life which is in line with the principles of religion or which is not opposed to the principles of religion. So when we are practicing sex life for procreating Krishna conscious offspring, to take forward the movement of Krishna consciousness, as Prabhupada mentions, discipline means even for a grihastha, sex life is when it is ordained by the spiritual master and is performed with appropriate garbha dana samskara. Anything else is sense enjoyment.
so that means, so Prabhuji, that means from my understanding, by and large, anything else or any physical union with your spouse other than planning for an offspring who can be dedicated for Krishna consciousness movement is a pure illicit connect.
As per Shastra, yes, and for any practical details, you'll have to discuss with some senior grahasthas as to what is Prabhupada's instructions to grahasthas on this matter. There is a book called Third Partner, which is a compilation of interviews with many practicing grahasthas brought up by the Congregation Preaching Ministry. It contains some quotes on how practically this can be executed. I don't want to stress more on it because it's not my patrata and adhikar to speak about sex life so much. I'm a vanaprasthi and I should not be speaking so much about it.
All right.
Any other question? Rati Manjari Matu?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I had a question. In the Bhaum Leela, Devaki and Vasudev are demigods. I mean, they are come from the heavenly planets to
Devaki and
participate.
Vasudeva are described as originally Kashyapa and Aditi and Prishni and Sutapa. They are the expansions of Devaki Vasudeva. The original form is Devaki Vasudeva in the spiritual planet.
Prabhuji,
They also have expansions as Prajapati.
okay, so in the
Prashni and
Bhagavatam,
Sutapa.
in the Bhagavatam, it's mentioned that in the Bhaum Leela, they are the demigods. I mean, Lord calls the demigods to participate in the Leela.
Yeah. Everywhere, there can be multiple amshas. There can be multiple amshas in the people. Like there is Drona and Dhara, who are Drona was a Prajapati and Dhara, his wife. They became Nanda and Yashoda. But in the original spiritual world, Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj exist. They are the parents of Krishna. And also Acharyas say that Devaki is another name for Yashoda. And she gave the glory to Devaki. So Yashoda, she gave glory. She gave fame. And another name of Devaki is also Yashoda. Acharyas mentioned that. I described this on Janmashtami Day when I gave that lecture.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Hare Krishna.
Okay, so we will continue with the second and third verses soon. Most probably second and third verses next class. What I would urge you all to do is to study in the meantime the first shloka very well. And if you have any questions, you can post on the group and I'll try to answer them. Okay, you want some announcements to make, Hare Krishna Prabhu?
Regarding Prabhu?
You wanted to discuss something or was announcement you said after the class you said?
No announcement, Prabhuji. I'll discuss it personally with you.
Okay, so the DYS classes, Shailavasti Mataji is, I think, she's there. Okay. So please ensure that they're all called for this class, Shailavasti Mataji.
Sorry. Yes, sir.
So in the evening, we have this DYS. Today's session will be engaged by me. And this Saturday and next Saturday, I will be engaged in the classes. And on both the Sundays will be Daya Gauranga Prabhu. So you're welcome to participate with your contacts. And you're welcome to be there to cultivate the devotees, new devotees, aspiring devotees. Yeah, who's speaking? You're not audible. Okay, I assume that you will do it because you already mentioned at the beginning of the class. Thank you, Prabhus and Matajis, for joining me. And Hare Krishna Prabhu, I think now you can start archiving these lectures. Rati Manjari Mataji, you can coordinate with Hare Krishna Prabhu. In case Hare Krishna Prabhu, you can coordinate with Rati Manjari Mataji. She archives my lectures